What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another legendary comparison video. So today we are going to be looking at the RUS and all three of their legendary skins. Since the Snoop Dogg Equalizer RUS skin did come out a couple of days ago, I thought it was high time to make a full comparison between those three legendary skins. So this video in particular is kind of interesting because the RUS for the most part hasn't really had the best skins. I know there are some animated ones like the Moonstone, but in terms of legendary skins, they tend to be a huge letdown, mainly because of the iron sight and just how they look in general. So before we get into this, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more content like this. So anyways, let's begin. So of course, chronologically, we are starting off with the Dust Kicker. So the Dust Kicker was, I believe, released around Season 6, which was Once Upon a Time in Rust, which was also the release of this map, you know, Rust. So the appearance pretty much takes form of a wild western theme. So at the time I did consider picking it up, but keep in mind, I told you guys many times that I started on that specific season, so I wasn't really playing this game seriously, so I wasn't really about to drop $150 for a skin like this. But I did buy it like a few months later, or no, not a few months later, like pretty much a year later in the For You section. And to be honest, I mean, it's a pretty cool legendary skin with quite a bit of flaws. So the physical design is pretty cool, the animations are cool, I mean it's pretty unique, very similar to the Outlaw, whatever that dust one was. Well, when you kill an enemy they pretty much turn into dust. I usually call it the Thanos snap. But yeah, I mean the death effect is subpar at best, but at the same time it is pretty unique because how often do you see someone get Thanos snapped out of existence, right? This also does have a unique shooting sound. It sounds very, I guess, plastic-like, but at the same time it does sound very satisfying, especially when you do get a kill. It's nothing really crazy, but I would say it's probably one of the most noticeable and probably second or first best. However, there was a huge flaw with this skin. As good as it looks, the iron sight is what was the huge letdown. So, of course, the iron sight looks like it blocks off a lot. And keep in mind, with iron sights on legendaries and mythics, they are very important because that's one of the biggest factors as to why people actually buy these legendaries. So having bought this with such a terrible iron sight, of course, people are going to feel like they wasted their money, which is honestly reasonable. Of course, that wasn't really the issue back then, mainly because there wasn't really a lot of legendaries that changed the iron sights. If anything, most of the legendaries at the time were just simply animated, and that was it, like the color spectrum. And keep in mind, this actually came out a little bit before the Gunsmith update, so having a red dot wasn't really so punishing for your class setup. But here in the present, obviously, it matters because, I mean, we can't have anything blocking our way since most of us like using iron sights and, you know, having that extra slot for our gunsmith. So if the top part of the iron sight was removed, well, maybe the side as well, it probably would have been a far better legendary skin, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So now moving on. So moving on a little bit later, we did get another legendary skin for the RUS, which is the ZX7000. So the theme of this weapon seems to be more electric than anything. So this one was actually, I guess, built after Mastercraft in Black Ops 4 for the Auger DMR, which was, I guess, a marksman rifle for that time. It was called the ZX7000 as well. So as for animations, it's not really the greatest in the world. If anything, it's probably the worst out of the three because they're barely even noticeable. And yes, there is an animation when you do get a kill, somewhat of a reactive type of thing, but it's not really that interesting. A lot of people actually consider this to be one of the worst legendaries in COD Mobile. So the death effect also is pretty basic for the most part. It's something that we've seen with multiple legendaries that do have electricity themes. You know, kind of like the Locust Electron or, you know, the Railgun, they just pretty much turn into like this little figure and just kind of go away. Like, I guess they kind of get disintegrated with the electricity. That's basically most of the electric weapons in this game. So yeah, it's overall a pretty generic electric legendary. And again, the iron sight was a bit disappointing. Granted, it was a little bit better than the Dust Kicker because you could actually view your enemy this time around, but still, the way that it was formed, because I guess the structure of the weapon kind of makes it look awkward. I can't really explain it, but whenever I use this iron sight, it just never really feels right. Yes, it's improved, but it's not quite there. This barely has any sort of shooting sound. It's not really that noticeable compared to the other two. So yeah, overall, this legendary skin is just absolutely atrocious and was never really worth anyone's money, including my own. So now we move on to the granddaddy of them all, which is the RUS-79u Equalizer. So this came out alongside the Snoop Dogg character skin, which is something that you can't really say for a lot of weapons out there. I mean, there are some out there that do have some collaborations, like the Red Me as well as Saw, but I mean, this one is bound to be iconic later on down the line. And really, it couldn't have happened to a more fitting weapon. This one needed it the most because the legendaries in the past, like I've said before previously in this video, have been just complete letdowns. I mean, the Dust Kicker could have been good, like I said, but this one actually seeks to fix all the issues from the past mistakes that they've made. You know, the iron sight is a lot better. It's not obstructing at all. The death effects is pretty unique as well. It does have a decent shooting sound. It has a reactive kill effect. I mean, this thing has it all. There's also, like, you know, blue reactive energy around the weapon coursing through it. The speakers are lighting up. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. This is what the RUS-79u deserved. I would say probably like the only thing that it may not have over another legendary skin is probably the shooting sound. Yes, it's pretty unique, but I would say that the RUS Dust Kicker might actually surpass at least that. But that's pretty much it. Everything else across the board is so superior. Which pretty much leads us to the results. Like I said, the RUS is first place almost across the board with the exception of sound effects, which I believe the Dust Kicker might be more superior in. Other than that, like I said, it's almost the perfect legendary skin. The Dust Kicker does come in second place, with the iron sight being in third because it's the most obstructing out of the three, which the RUS ZX7000 does actually take second for, but as for the rest, it's just completely atrocious across the board. So that's going to pretty much do it for today's comparison. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. How would you rank these legendary skins? But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next video.